All right, blessings, everyone. Okay, what you're looking at here is the top of Mount Sinai. Okay, and again, I'm really in awe. Seriously, I remember a brother said to me one time, "Don't faint when you find out who you are in Christ." And I still want to cry every time. Because sometimes I can get really overwhelmed. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. This same friend said in a comment about I am that I am, said twice. And he spoke about something about the first I am would be the past or the beginning and the end. And I pondered on that. I don't know, maybe you can help me here, but I've never heard anybody give a testimony where God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, announces himself as I am. You see, at the age of 16, this is what he did. I remember the next morning, I said, where did I hear that before? I am. Where did I hear it? And then in spirit, I heard the 10 Commandments. And it was the 10 Commandments I heard and knew God's name for the first time. The 10 Commandments. I am that I am. And this is where we all know that I am gives Moses the law. With his own finger, I am writes out the law. So I kind of ponder on that. And I don't believe there's no mistake. There's no mistake at all that I'm back here at Mount Sinai talking about the lawlessness that has been going on and that we're seeing. I believe it's written somewhere. The law was written for the sinner. Not for the righteous. Sorry. Here's a shot of Mount Sinai with the black tip showing here. Okay, so anyway, so now Moses and Joshua are now descending from the mountain, right? Okay. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, there is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. I believe this will sum it up on the conversation Joshua and Moses was having as they were descending. And this is coming from a survivor of that night. So I'd like to really thank you. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Really, I am. Shauna Faith. Okay, I'm going to be reading it out. It may take a few minutes, but please, it truly is worth it. Today is November 5th, 2021. It is a Friday. Who I am in the story is not important. Rather, it is important the things I have now witnessed. Astral World, Houston, Texas, Travis Scott is the only one performing. I don't know how many people were at the festival, but I do know that every single person was at the stage. My friend and I wanted to be closer to the stage, as close as we could possibly get. We were not able to get very close, but we did end up on the side near the walkway in the middle. Surrounding us were chest-high metal gates, barriers. We stood there for 2 hours and did every other person. Every gap was filled. When your feet were placed was where they stayed. Energy rose as the time neared beginning the show. Within the first 30 seconds of the first song, people began to drown in other people. There were so many people. Tall men, women, and men, where the only thing they could see was the back of the person in front of them. The rush of people became tighter and tighter. Breathing became something only a few were capable of. The rest were crushed or unable to breathe in the thick, hot air. My friend began to gasp for breath, and she told, she told me we need to get out. We tried. There was nowhere to go. The shoving got harder and harder. If someone's arm had been up, it would no longer a possibility to put it down. So people began to choke on one another as the mass swayed. It became more and more violent. We began to scream for help. We couldn't see security, just a few people over in the walkway in the middle. It got tighter, impossible to breathe as our lungs were compressed between the bodies of those surrounding us. More people began to scream for help. But we were not heard. There was nowhere to go. My friend was trapped between people on every side of her, and she desperately tried to move towards the rail. It was no use. The screaming intensified as more people realized they could not breathe. We begged security to help us, for the performer to see us and know something was wrong. None of that happened. We continued to drown. More and more. One person fell or collapsed. It doesn't matter how it started. Once one fell, a hole opened up in the ground. It was like watching a Jenga tower topple. Persons after person were sucked down. You, you could not guess for which direction the shove of hundreds of people would come next. Okay. You were at the mercy of the wave. I watched my friend be dragged away from me and lost sight of her. I began to realize in the moment that there is a way to die that not many people know about, being trampled to death. I saw terror in every eye that I met, even those that told me to breathe and stay calm. We knew that there was a very big chance some of us would not make it out alive. I was pushed away from the rail into the crowd of people where I could hear from another direction the shrieks of animals. It was happening all around me. These sinkholes of people. I was moved back towards the sinkhole. I started and was pushed to the edge of it. I sunk my feet into the ground, put my arms out, and tried to stop anyone from entering the circle or pushing those already in it. I was shoved further to the ground, my face down at the cold hard plastic below us, and saw the body of a man, his face below mine. I lost it. There were people below the ones I couldn't see from above. There was a floor of bodies of men and women below 2 layers of fallen people above them. I began to shriek. I felt a primal terror ripped through me, and I'm not sure anyone understood the magnitude of the situation below. I screamed. There were people on the floor. There were people unconscious, being trampled by every foot that slammed into the ground. As each individual tried to keep themselves upright, I saw his face. I became a shield for him. I think he smiled at me. Then I was shoved to the side. I saw more shoes slammed to the ground, exactly in the spot his body lay, face up. I couldn't help him. I couldn't help any of them. I didn't stop screaming the entire time. No one knew there were people below those that they could see. I almost met the same fate. I was losing balance and I asked a man to grab me. He pulled me up and I righted myself for just a fraction of a second before I was sucked back into the crowd. I couldn't take what I saw. I had to get out. I had to get help. I had to do something. Somehow I went toward the back of the crowd at a guardrail. Oh. A man pulled me over it. There were so many people just standing there, like nothing was happening, like people weren't dead a few feet from them. I saw the cameraman's eyes glued to the stage, elevated on a platform that looked directly into the crowd. I climbed the ladder and pointed to the hole, telling him people were dying. He told me to get off the platform and continued filming. I screamed over and over again. He wouldn't even look in the direction, so I pushed the camera so it pointed towards where I had to just come from. He became angry. He called someone else up. I told him the same thing. People were dying. We needed to stop the music. We needed to help. We needed attention towards the mass because I thought if only these people were aware, maybe they would do something. The other man grabbed my arm. And told me he would push me off the 15-foot platform with no sides if I didn't get down. I told him to help. I told him, please, we're dying. People were dying. I showed him where. He wouldn't look in the direction either. I was in disbelief. Here were 2 people that could have actually do something, had the power to do something, cut the camera, call in backup, pausing something. They did nothing. I looked over at the sinkhole. People were screaming, reaching out their hands towards me, calling for help. I couldn't see the floor. The strangest thing happened in that moment. People began to boo at me. They pointed their fury at me, unleashed a rage. I screamed I screamed people were dying over and over. No one would listen. Somehow I ended up on the ladder, going back down, mindlessly. I should have ripped that camera to shreds. I looked at the other guard in the eyes and told him he was the one responsible for the countless deaths. He did nothing. I went under the platform, called 911. The only thing they said was that they were calling the medical team in. I told the operator over and over we needed to stop the concert because we just needed a pause. We needed light, awareness of the deaths. Nothing. A kid watched me from under the platform, watching me break down in tears, explaining how I saw people crushed, stomped, unconscious. He watched the operator saying nothing of use to me. I went out, not sure what to do. Suddenly, two men in red medical shirts, looking confused and lost, bumped into me. I explained. Confused and lost and bumped into me. I explained everything, and they told me they had gone in and saw nothing. Two girls that were in the pit with me were standing beside me, heard that, and helped explain it was there. We led them to it. They climbed the metal gates and went through to the people. Those were the only ones working that were brave that night. I have endless respect for those two men who waited, the two girls and I, and watched people being thrown over the railing, people trying to escape the cage we had been in. So here she says in her comment, I can't write anymore. To all the lost souls tonight, you were robbed, and my friend is okay. I have so many people reaching out asking if she made it. Thank you all. Remember through all of this, those we lost are who we fight for. Please be kind to one another. I will do all I can for the families, and if you are able to help them, do. So thank you very much for this. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, so I could just imagine that this is what Joshua and Moses saw as they came down and watched them and dancing around the calf. And very few that stayed with Moses. Okay. Okay, and there's just one more shot of this here. I just want you to see the dart here. Okay, again, this is about Mount Sinai. That a dart would pierce anybody that went up. Okay, that's Travis here. Okay. Or Scott, yeah. Okay. And the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar, and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. For he said, because the Lord has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Second Chronicles 20:15. And he said, hearken ye all Judah, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, and thou King Jehoshaphat, thus saith the Lord unto you, be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but God's. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, there is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, It is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly fear and quake. Okay, so here's a picture that I took about, it was 2015, I believe. And I'm going to really do partial testimony of this and just point out a few things for those that don't know what they're looking at here. This was a picture that I had taken in 2015. I was outside with my family. We were working on the yard, and in spirit, I was told to take a picture, and I didn't know what to take a picture of, so I just snapped a picture of my cat looking at a squirrel in a tree. So I put the camera back down. I go and I do my work, come back, sit down, and I hear in my spirit, open it up. So I go to open it up, and here's what I found, and here is where I found Jesus with an angel in black. So I brought this forward again because when I talked about my vision, the prophecy that was given to me by Jesus when I was 12, he gave it to me in 3 pieces. He gave me the city, and then there was the tunnel, and then the bridge. My brother's prophecy was in 3 pieces. Now, here in 2016, I received a dream. And in this dream, the similarities to the vision was that there were in 3 pieces. Okay? Now, what I find and why I'm back here with this one here is because of the direction. Now, when I was talking about the vision that I had when I was 12, when I found and I was standing right there looking at my vision, I was from east to west. When Jesus showed himself to me, when I was ordered to get out of the car and to look up, I saw him larger than life, and he was looking from east to west with his arms down and his palms facing west. Here, when I was just pondering and I was laying down and I was thinking, what about the picture? What about him on the roof? And that's when I ran up, and sure enough, his arms were up. And again, this reminds me of the spiritual warfare that we're under, and brought me straight back again in confirmation of being where I'm standing today, is at Mount Sinai with Moses, and understanding that the law that was given to Moses by the finger of God was for the sinners and not for the righteous men, but for the sinners. And that the law was made and was the knowledge of sin. So here we have Jesus on the roof where his hands are up, and he's in the direction, he's going southeast, okay? His hands are up here, and he's looking southeast. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm not sure exactly how to take a hold of the idea of the direction of everything, but it's just, I've been finding it a little interesting here. Because now that I'm looking from west to east, I'm looking straight at Ottawa. Okay, so I'm going to read a few verses out, and then I'm going to go right into the dream and give you the parts. And the first and second part, I might be a little short in time to give you the full part of part 3, but part 1 and 2, okay? So here I just want to read this out. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. And every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. If any man speak, let him speak as the articles of God. If any man ministers, let him do it as of the ability which God giveth that God in all things may be glorified through Jesus Christ, to whom be praised and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Now, before I go into the dream, I need to just to go over a little bit here with Daniel to understand this, that what Daniel is understanding here about his vision, and he's letting us know and understand that his vision, that there are angels, okay, and let me just start off with just saying this. The angel tells Daniel, that this is Gabriel, that he was resisted, and it was by a demon called the Prince of Persia, until Michael, the archangel, came to help to assist. So here in Daniel, Daniel, angels and demons fight battles over the souls of men and nations, and that demons resist angels and try to prevent from doing God's bidding. If Satan is the prince of the entire world and the power of the air, then it stands to be reasoned that the Prince of Persia is a demonic entity that had authority and over part of the world, the nation of Persia. This Prince of Persia is not a man on earth, but in fact someone in a spiritual realm. We see that there are princes in the spiritual world. In fact, there is an entire hierarchy of authority among the angels and demons. If you want to destroy a fortress in the spiritual realm, then you need to destroy the speculation that people have against the knowledge of God. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, so now this will be the first part of the dream. And what happens here is we are descending from a mountain. And I say we because I feel a presence beside me in the passenger seat. I'm driving. And I hear him whispering in a very, very low whisper. And I'm looking over, and I'm really I'm paying more attention to what I'm seeing off to the left of me, which would be west. And I see all of these mountains, and all of the mountains are on fire on the tips of them. Every one of them have fire on the tips. When I first saw this, I first thought, different countries, they were, saying the problems. And then I really started to think about Job. And this really became more global and more out there. So what I'm going to talk about here is Job 36:27 to 33, and I'm just going to read a few things out here. Here he says, "For he maketh the small drops of water; they pour down rain according to vapor thereof." And I remember the smell of rain, and I remember that feeling of going right through you, whether you had through the joints or whatever it may have been, but you would feel it and you could smell it. And that would be because of the vapor. And he goes down to say, "Which the clouds do drop and distill upon men abundantly." What did that mean, the clouds drop? Now I'm thinking this could be what you can call. I have to be careful with what I say here. So what, the clouds of iron, the birds of iron, the birds with no heart, the cloud with no vapor. Okay, so here we're talking about this because when we felt those drops, they come right on you real quick, and they were large drops. You didn't smell the rain coming. You didn't feel it coming. It just rained on you. And I felt and experienced this a few times personally. So I believe it's where you're standing is what you're going to experience. So I'm going to read here Psalms 148, 7 and 8. "Praise the Lord from the earth, ye dragons and all deeps. Fire and hail, snow and vapor, stormy winds fulfilling his word." Okay, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to go and I'm going to start now in part 2 of the dream. Okay. All right, so here's where I was, before everything started here with the convoy, this freedom convoy, which now I call Free Edom, the Free Edom campaign. And I'll explain all of this as I go along. Again, we have to remember Daniel when we're talking about the principalities and powers and the wickedness in high places, the darkness that rules this world. This is what we're up against, not about the flesh and blood here, not at all. So I hope to explain all of this and show you a little bit and bring it forward as we go along. So here, I just want to show you something that again, when I was explaining that, here we have Satan who rules the earth, okay, and the power at B. This again, like I said, would be the supernatural, and bringing these devices and putting them into play to fool the nation. Okay, so here we're talking about a demonic entity when we're talking about the Prince of Persia. So they do have rank and authority. Okay, so this is important to know before we go on. All right. I also want to show you this. This is something that I remembered talking about the wickedness in high places.
I took the version and I turned it up. Satan, your time is up. But the master, yes. But then earth down in his earth gets down.
And this is what's being said backwards. The spirit that moves us, we need to question always, daily.
Satan, your time is up. Satan, your time is up. Ring the bell, confirmation. Be at peace. It was November 22nd, and that guy 22. I lost my father. No. Be at peace. It was November 22nd, and that guy 22. I lost my father. November. Wow. Now watch the video. I was told, you will be told when to go ring that bell. See my whole body just quiver like that? Yep. Okay, here we go. So let's watch, huh? See my whole body just quiver like that? See my whole body just quiver like that? The Lord told me I'm going to use you. You're going to lay hands on people. People are going to get healed. See my body convulsed? Did you see it? Ask me with. The Lord told me I'm going to use you. You're going to lay hands on people. People are going to get healed. See my body convulsed? Did you see it? I'm going to use you. You're going to lay hands on people. People are going to get healed. See my told me I'm going to use you. You're going to lay hands on people. People are going to get healed. See my body convulsed? Did you see it? That's how I know. They told me I'm going to use you. You're going to lay hands on people. People are going to get healed. See my body convulsed? Did you see it?
Okay, so for me, I'm just going to read this out for now. This is, again, the spirit of Amalek, the grandson of Esau. Okay, this is Odin. Okay, and this I've always put Odin and Germany and China with Kosh. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to read this out. I don't have much time. Okay, so here it says, deceiving the public, the Nazi frequently used propaganda to discuss their political aims and deceive the German and international public. They depicted Germany as the victim of Allied and Jewish aggression to hide their true ideology, goals, and to justify war and violence against innocent people. Okay, I brought you here. This was a poster, an art that was, I think here, I just hold on a second here. Okay, it was This poster was in 1941. An anti-Semitic poster published in Germany occupied Poland in March of 1941. The caption reads, "Jews are lice. They cause typhus." This German published propaganda poster was intended to instill fear of Jews among Christian Poles. And if you look very closely at this, again, we can see here, which was done in 1941. And if we look at this, this is all of Jonathan Kleck's ministry. We have the bug mania, the mask, the cloth here. We have the wolf with that, that black shirt he wears all the time. And we have the two V's right here. Okay, and we also, I just want to show you this here concerning the mask. Okay, quarantine. This was all about quarantine, right? Quarantine. And here we have Jonathan Kleck. Again, it looks like it's a double exposure. I've explained this. We have a demon off to the side here, and we have, again, a mask over him. And he's very proud of this. This is his profile on Facebook, of all places. Facebook. Okay, so this is Jonathan Kleck here with the mask. Again, this is done in 1941, so we can see what spirit is moving them. Okay, so then I go up here, and I was absolutely shocked. Okay, I see Frankfurt. Now, Frankfurt is exactly where Jonathan Kleck said he was from. He would be the first one to tell you, hey, look at me. He's proclaiming that he is from Frankfurt and that he has graduated from elementary school. So in his own words, I'll just take you there.
There's Johnny graduating. See Frankfurt right over my shoulder. That's my graduation in Germany. Just so you know, I'm telling you the truth.
Okay, so here we have another poster, Frankfurt. All right, I don't know German. This is 1945, a propaganda poster. This poster from 1945 shows an in-battle German family proclaiming frontline city Frankfurt will be held. Okay, and this place was a city held where Hitler declared must be defended against Allied attack at all costs. This is Hitler, okay, who declared must be defended. Frankfurt must be defended against Allied attacks at all cost. In the final months of the war, propaganda efforts were directed as rallying the populace for a final defense of the country. Okay, I'm going to read here. Wartime propagandist university justified the use of military violence by portraying it as a morally defensible and necessary. To do otherwise would jeopardize public moral and faith in the government and its armed forces. Therefore, World War II Nazi propagandists disguised military aggression aimed at territorial conquest as righteous and necessary acts of self-defense. They cast Germany as a victim or a potential victim or foreign aggressors as peace-loving nation forced to take up arms to protect its populace or defend European civilization against communists. And this is what it's all about, anyway. So here, the war aims professed at each stage of the hostilities almost always disguised Nazi intentions of territorial expansion and racial warfare. This was a propaganda of deception designed to fool or misdirect the populations in Germany, German-occupied lands, and the neutral countries. And again, this is sounding very familiar of what's happening here today. So I wanted to show you this. Again, this is Frankfurt. This is Jonathan Kleck, who proclaimed that he is from Germany, Frankfurt, that he graduated elementary school there. And again, this is in 1945, where Hitler declared Frankfurt must be defended against Allied attacks against all costs. Okay? At all costs. Okay. Okay, so before I leave Frankfurt here, I just wanted to say also that it was back in, well, in 2008, I was looking, not in 2008, sorry, I was looking into the Beijing 2008 Olympics, the opening, and they opened up their Olympics with the game, with the Torah, okay, with the scroll opening up. And here I just, when Jonathan Kleck mentioned that he was from Frankfurt, I went and I looked into it, and I also found this. In March 2008, the Jewish community of Frankfurt celebrated its first Torah dedication since the Holocaust. The procession of the new Torah scroll began from the spot where the town's Frankfurt synagogue stood prior to World War II, 500 meters from Germany's current border with Poland. Go ask Jonathan Kleck what 500 means in the scriptures. Yeah. And this here they celebrated and marched with the scroll into the towns where they danced with the Torah and which had been donated by members of the community in Berlin. Now again, I was looking into the Olympics. Jonathan Kleck came out with this. I came and I looked, and there was again something was going on here about the scroll. And it was Jonathan Kleck who pointed. Proclaiming Frankfurt. Okay, so here now what I've done is I've now received a link from a friend, and he sends me over to Gene's video. And here in the video, I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me at first about the leg, the missing leg, until I see this man. And this man that I have been following concerning the convoy, he seemed to be the one that was in the front lines of all of these, of what was going on. If you wanted to know anything, you would go and see this man his name was Pat King. And so I turn around and I would be paying attention to him, but there was something about him that there was something wrong about this whole thing that I didn't understand. Okay, I had no idea what it was that I was looking at here at first. Okay, so then I see what Gene has put out there. Okay, I see the one leg, I see the demeanor of Jonathan Kleck, and I understand and agree with what Gene is saying in this video. So I don't want to lose focus of the whole thing here with Ottawa. So I go back and because I mean, it's happening really fast. Every day, every hour, something new is happening. So I go back over here to look at what's going on, and I find this video of Pat King, who is very upset.
Somebody who's disabled has more than somebody with a disability. Somebody who's disabled has more of a voice than you do. I have never asked for violence. I condone violence. I have never, ever asked for violence. You put my name in the House of Commons saying that I'm going to do whatever you want, what you just said. You work for a minister who is a racist, who sits there and condones blackface. You sit here and you watch, and you, as your leader, supports calling in the military on children in bouncy castles.
Okay, something's going on here with my tablet. I think it's dying on me here. So again, this is Pat King, and with him, I did not know that he was an amputee is my point here in the video. I'm sorry for anything else. I just wanted to show you this, okay, that he was an amputee. And again, with Jane Rebel's video, that I had no idea. I had no idea that he was an amputee. Okay, so here's my dream. Again, I'm seeing the mountains on fire, and then as we're descending, I see the lawlessness. But what's really about the lawlessness is within the law enforcement itself. The one thing that really gets to me is the age group, that they're very young, and it's the law. Within the law enforcement, there is lawlessness, and it's the uniform. The uniform is wrong. It was the wrong color. In other words, it was the wrong state. It was the wrong province. It was not the right color. Something was wrong within the law enforcement. So here you have the green, you have the yellow jackets, and you have the ones that are all in black. Okay, so you have three different types of uniforms here. Okay, here you have them all tagged with different colors of tags on them. Um, Here again, within the law enforcement itself, you can see right here that you have one holding the baton ready to use it. You have one soldier here or enforcement officer here who has his baton in his holster. It's not out and his arms are down. And right beside him, you have one with the tear gas. So you have something going on within the law enforcement that are torn apart. There's something very wrong. Okay, so here we have these, this is the tacky green. Okay, so you have here him holding it, arms straight down in the holster. He's not holding his baton here. And here this person here has the spray. So it's totally divided.